Welcome back, everybody, to Pro League Down live at the Nexon Arena. My name is Valdez. Joining with me today is Wolf.
Hi.
Hi, Wolf.
How you doing?
You're back.
I'm
back. We got a 1-1 tie here between MVP and ST-YOE. Very interesting game so far. Weird games.
Game 2 was the weirder one. Game 1 definitely had some... It was not your most standard game, but just the game 2, I look at it and I go, well, this doesn't make sense. But anyways, let's move on.
I love this song.
HerO, man. Let's meet on Friday. Or Meet You on Friday, I guess. The name of this song by IU. This is my favorite singer in Korea. HerO has a bad record in 2015's Pro League. Overall, he's 30-30. He definitely had some good moments, actually, on EGTL back in the day. But on his mercenary days since last year of Pro League, he's not been so successful.
No, not really at all. The last time we saw him, he played against another Zerg, and he played a very interesting, super heavy harass style. I hope we get to see it here once again. The map, guys, is going to be Vaani Research Station, one of our new maps here. And, of course, HerO is going to be going up against Curious. You were talking about his very good ZVP. But so far, not really showcasing it. He had a lot of very close games. He's still very good in the matchup, but his stats right now don't really reflect that.
Well, if you look at his stats, they really don't. But if you look at his game versus HerO, which was that longest game that we've had so far this season, tell me his ZVP isn't good. He lost.
No, I won't, man. I'm agreeing with you, man. This guy's really good at ZVP.
All right, it's going to be Vaani Research Station, by the way, guys. The first time we're playing on this map.
Yeah, it's going to be great here going into game number 3. It's going to be HerO, Protoss player versus Curious or Zerg player. Up here in the north, in the teal, the Protoss player, the first we've had tonight, it is HerO.
And in the pink for StarTale-yoe, Zerg player, the gatekeeper of Codes. It's Curious. Curious, a player who, just going back to, since we're talking about a little bit of FPL tonight, I chose for my team.
Yeah, man. I saw your team, I was like, what are you on, Wolf? We'll see if it works, man. I don't know. You got a very interesting team.
I do. I've never played before, so please forgive any mistakes I may make. Gonna have a wall off at the high ground back at home for HerO on this map. It's being one of our newer maps. If I had to pick one thing I really like about this map, I really like the watchtower placement. I feel like it gives just enough information to be important, but
what is this?
Curious, you don't have to do this.
He really doesn't. I don't really understand it. Maybe he just doesn't like the map, but then why is he coming out on this map?
This is when HerO makes a forge and makes a cannon on top of the ramp because somebody... What is going on?
Yeah, man. This is the build. It's you got the backdoor base, so you can easily just set up a wall, and you just go ahead and set up that wall.
I'm sorry, I got this map confused with another map for a second. I was like, why is he gonna make a forge on the high ground like this? I was thinking this is like a map where the natural is just the normal natural behind it. Or at the below the ramp, and I was like, oh my god, is he blind countering an 8 pool with a forge and a cannon on top of the ramp?
I'm like, we had this talk about map hackers already. HerO, no. No,
okay, I'm sorry.
It's a real thing. It's fine, and he's gonna get the scout way early, and he's gonna be just fine. That's an easy just cannon expand.
Well, now he's definitely just going to make a cannon on top of his ramp.
Yep.
And he even makes a tight wall here.
Easy hold.
Sorry for my panic attack earlier, guys. I'm slowly coming
Everything's
back to
going to be okay.
Well, it may not be okay for Curious.
Yeah, that's true.
He is going to try to just go ahead and expand now because obviously he knows his game is up. And this is a bit of a mistake. That should have been blocked.
Yeah, it definitely should have been. Maybe you would have been able to force back those lings. It would have been delayed for a very long time. You may even have wanted to put down some cannons, or maybe even a pylon at least to block it for a little bit. You may even still go for the cannons.
He's definitely considering it.
That probe is still there.
Now, these lings are going to take a long time to come home, and if he starts to cannon, it's going to force Curious to make more lings to defend until those get home. I don't think he can do it, though. I mean, there's already 2 lings out. Yeah, He definitely thought about it, but
he's going to try to get out of life here. I think he's going to be able to do that at least.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Lings may come back and maybe if they get us around, but then he can just mineral walk back. We saw Dark actually was able to kill one of San's probes because San didn't mineral walk one time. That was a bit embarrassing. But really cool micro out of Dark regardless when we did get to see that. But it looks like this guy's going to survive.
Yeah. Just needs to, basically just continue to mineral. Like, the key to a surviving probe is minimizing how many times it turns, too, because every time you turn, that's when the Ling's going to scratch you.
Yeah. So, looking at HerO's position, it's quite nice. I'm just wondering what kind of transition is he going to make. He's got a lot of options. I mean, he could go aggressive. He could just put down a bunch of gates. Could just go passive, maybe just try to make some Colossi. Could go into air, something you see very often, especially in Korea against Zerg. Just put down a Stargate and go for that.
So the Lings take further damage here, actually, as the probe escapes. But this is not significant, really, because the probe's trapped outside anyways. The Lings may want to watch that, though, for some possible pylons to get placed down later on in the map. Because the Lings also know that's a tight wall, so there's not going to be any probes coming out of that base for a while until HerO has to kill his own pylon.
This Overlord coming in pretty early into the main base. There's no tech that could possibly be down just yet because the Cyber Core isn't even finished. But he is going to get a full scout just now. He knows that he's safe because there's nothing that can hit air just yet. And there we go. There's that Stargate.
Yep. Just weakening the pylon. Decides not to kill it just yet. This is something that I do a lot because you want the tight wall to be there until you really just don't want it to be there until you have to get rid of it, because you obviously like having a tight wall so no units can come in your base, but more importantly you want to have that supply, that PSI that the pylon gives you. And but if you weaken it, that means when you need to get out, you can get out faster. So definitely a good choice. Just killed the shields there. Actually killed it all the way now this time, which actually unpowers his core for a minute, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a pretty big mistake, in fact. That's really unfortunate.
Surprised he didn't replace the pylon first.
Ooh, a Void Ray. That's not something you see very often. Usually you see either that Oracle to try to do some harass damage, or you see the Phoenixes come out, clear out all the Overlords. He may just use the Void Ray to do just that, clearing out the Overlords, but I wonder what the transition is going to be. Is he going to go for that big Deathball comp, just put down a robotics facility in Bay, and just try to go for Colossi as well as some Void Rays? I mean, he's already in a decent spot here in terms of workers. Still ahead of Curious because of that early build that Curious did go for.
Yeah. Well, this has been scouted. He makes a second Void Ray. We have seen HerO do a lot of builds with Void Rays and Warp Prisms. Not really in Pro League, but we've seen him do it in the GSL. We've seen him do it. This is Wings of Liberty a lot of the time I'm talking about, but we saw it in the beginning of Heart Storm 2 where he makes a lot of Void Rays in the Warp Prism and does like a big Zealot Warping in the main and has the Void Rays to support. Let's see what he does here, because we've seen like +1 Void Ray Zealot Warping all in like Warp Prism plays where he just sends a Warp Prism in the main base and tries to win the game like that. I don't know if that's really what we're going to see here, if he's just going to use the Void Rays to hold a third base. But with the Oracle, that seems more likely.
Yeah. HerO definitely one of our most experimental and innovation Protosses. He's always very fun to watch because it's sometimes hard to know what he's doing. Even for the Zerg, like even if he did get a scout, he's like, so what is your what are you actually going for here in the end game? Like, what are you trying to do to me?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to read. I mean, already we've got only 2 Void Rays. Yeah, I think that's 2. And an Oracle here. He's going to have another Oracle for the follow-up, so he's going to have a very small fleet to maybe do some harass damage. The Void Rays opens up more options for killing Spore Crawlers, for killing Queens as well, and putting on a lot of damage.
Yeah, if he kills this Spore, he may just actually target down the gas and get out. Let's see what he does. Going to target the Spore first. Prismatic Alignment is activated. Now he has this Mothership Core for recalls. Ooh, Bis Micro there. And he may have to just... Okay.
Well, the Time Warp's coming down here. The Oracle doing a lot of damage as well. That alignment is still on. No Transfuse is able to go down. And with all of these units out of position here, a lot of legs coming in the front. And they actually get in the main base.
They get in the main base, but there's no Queens left over at that third base location. So a lot of these drones are going to go down at the same time to these Oracles. This is crazy. Now, let's watch this counter at the top left. So you guys can actually get a good look at how many drones for each player end up getting lost here. 12 drones, 9 probes so far, but that's not going to be the end of it, as there's still several Lings left in this main base. There's a Zealot Warp, and he's losing a little bit more mine time. 12 to 12.
Wow. Can't get more even than that, huh? We still do have that third base up and running for the Zerg, but it looks like that Nexus has survived for the Protoss as well. Sentry is going to get surrounded here and killed. That's Furious doing a bit more damage.
Oh, is he going to get it? No. 5 hit points left. He might get it. No. Good control there by the Zealots. You know, let's like take a step back here and assess the damage. Oh, this is a mistake. He might have been out of energy though. I feel like this is a good position for HerO, but he needs to get those probes mining. Oh, well, they're not going to mine for very long with this situation.
Well, he's got a very nice building placement there with that one cannon, very standard. It's good for protecting your third base. That Colossus has to come back.
Yeah, this was such a crazy moment, like, with all those things happening, that I couldn't even really figure out if that was like a trade that was worth it at Curious's base at first, but eventually he was able to kill all the queens. If he hadn't lost that one Void Ray that he lost to the queens, I feel like that could have been really bad for Curious.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say if that kind of damage is worth it because you're losing a lot of expensive area units that you're not going to have in your army a little bit later on. And it's just kind of delaying your build and your overall army composition here. We do see him finally transitioning into Colossi. So that's one thing he's got going for him. He has restarted Void Ray production, although I think he did just cancel it. Oh, no. One is still alive here.
Yeah, that was like a little mini meat grinder he made there with those lings. Small victory there. 3 lings somehow get into the base, and with good control, he can make something out of it. 4 probes actually killed in total recently. Might get 5, 6.
Oh, man.
Oh, no 6.
These are some lifelings doing that just small amount of damage to get yourself just that tiny bit ahead.
I don't think he can hold this base. There's like no way, Valdez, if he attacks it. Korea's just made 14 mutas, but they're not ready yet.
Mutas. HerO needs to identify this, though, because if he loses his Mothership Core, all of those units are going down.
He has only a few sentries and 2 stalkers as anti-air.
Yeah.
And the Void Ray, I suppose, if you want to count that. The Void Ray's not with this army, though.
He needs to not get greedy here. He needs to take the space and get out.
Okay, sees a Mulus, and that's the key to get out. That's the key to go home.
Yeah, that's when you're like, all right, I'm out.
This is actually a very scary moment, too, because even if he recalls, he still needs to get some units up at home.
Well, I think he's going to be just fine. He's got 3 Stargates. So, you know, you make 6 Phoenixes, put down a Fleet Beacon, start the range upgrade, you're totally fine. You just got to hold back at home, defend. You've taken out the 4th base of the Zerg, so you're even on bases. And HerO's got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now.
Yeah. This is the important moment, though. He has to make sure to minimize this damage before his Phoenix count is high. He already has 3. If we can hold out for the next wave of Phoenixes, he should be totally fine here. But this is the critical moment. Good control. There's the Nexus cannon. And, I mean, with only 3 Phoenixes, he can target some probes. He's going to go for a Colossus. Nah, that can't quite get it.
Yeah, and the mutas are going to have to push out here, I think. I mean, looks like they are able to pick off 1 Phoenix, but that's probably the only damage they're going to get as long as HerO's microing. And HerO, he loves to micro. He's going to be watching those units, so I don't think HerO's going to lose much more. And as I say that, he loses 2 Phoenixes. So,
I mean, honestly, I personally can't fault him for that because nobody would ever expected Curious to turn around and try to do that. Because if he had been paying attention, he would have cost him a lot of Mutalists for no Phoenixes. So, kind of a weird choice there. But we were talking about this earlier. You said HerO's the type of player who likes to innovate, likes to experiment, and his Phoenix control is quite good because he's actually the first player to ever professionally make Phoenixes work as a standard opening in this matchup in Korea back in the day. So, I mean, yeah, he's an innovator. And this is back OGS HerO days we're talking about. Yeah, this is a long time ago.
Back in the day, even I remember that. 9 Phoenixes now out. It looks like he's going to stop there, although he has gotten the +1 air upgrades. It's about halfway done now. And with this many Phoenixes, you can actually get some damage. Phoenixes are surprisingly sturdy, especially against just like 1 Spore Crawler. So you could easily go in there and pick up like 10 drones if the Zerg is not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a few Corruptors scattered around here.
He's even got 3 Spore Crawlers, but let's see how much damage he's able to do. It looks like he's just going to go for the 3 gas drones, back out.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, if you can get away with it, you're going to get some kills no matter what. Like, if the Corruptors aren't waiting for you there, they're never going to be able to catch the Phoenixes on their way out. We did see one Colossus accidentally loaded in a Warp Prism. Looks like he's realized as the Warp Prism now has 3 Zealots, but I was a bit concerned there for a moment that might actually be some missing DPS. Stormhost transition is kind of completed here, but already we have plenty of Colossi out on the map. Storm's going to be on the way in just a moment as well with that Temple Archives on the way.
Yeah, it looks like he has identified this, and he's making the correct composition. He's getting his 4th base up at the gold, which is really nice, and he's even putting some pylons over there at that base at the left, so maybe he's, like, faking that he's going for that base over there? I'm not sure. Maybe just a forward pylon.
I think you're right, though, actually. I think that's a pretty good assessment. I think he's totally trying to make it look like that. I don't think that's a coincidence. Oh, this Warp Prism just kind of hanging out. Okay, there go the Zealots. He's going to need a lot more than 3 Zealots to make something happen, and I don't even think this is going to be worth it. He might want to cancel that. Too late.
Well, they do have charge and a decent amount of upgrades, but, you know, Roach is with the kiting, but coming in now to fight, actually, with the Phoenixes, but he's got to be careful, especially with all those Corruptors out.
That's a very control-heavy move right there, and meanwhile, when he draws the Mutalisk away, he actually moves over to this location. It's a lot of Swarm Hosts here, though.
He's looking for him. He wants to pick him up, but already we've got about 3 or 4 Spore Crawlers to protect.
That was like a very complicated, fancy move that HerO tried to do. He's like, all
That's
right,
a HerO move, man, I'm telling you.
Warp in a few Zealots over here, draw the Mutalisk back, attack the Mutalisk of the Phoenixes, keep him occupied, and then attack into this. But as we all know, Swarm Hosts are free units that don't require any control or micromanagement whatsoever. So just those free units that are basically just robotically being spewed out are enough to defend that base.
Yeah, man.
I, for one, am very happy with how Swarm Hosts are going to be
I think
changed.
everybody is, man.
I don't know
except maybe Zergs.
I don't know if they're going to be like, if that's like ideal, but at least they're going to be. It's a step in the right direction.
It's better, yeah. But this is part of the reason why I actually enjoy watching HerO. The last game, it was on Overgrowth. He was just making a lot of very technical plays. He's a thinking Protoss. You know, he's not one to just make 6 gates and blink all in you. You know, he's one that's going to try to draw you out of position, try to go for weird compositions that you're not expecting, and sometimes that takes the Zergs by surprise. You can win games off of it.
He's got great multitasking. He likes to be fancy, but not to look fancy. Just like the moves that he makes, you're like, wow, that was crazy.
Are fancy.
and this is a massive gateway chunk that he's made here, which I can only assume is going to be for massive Zealot Warpins in the late game. He's going into now
already
a 5th
gearing
base.
up. He's gearing up for that late game.
Yeah, 5th base, tons of Zealot Warpins possible all over the map. Abuse those slow Swarm Hosts. Eventually, once you wipe the Mutalisk, they're not going to be a concern, especially when you have a Fleet Beacon. We may see Tempest later on, depending on how late this game goes, but when you see Curious play EVP, it's usually a very long game.
Of course, man. And now HerO looking for that army, maybe trying to snipe out some of those Mutalisks. Snipe there on the Warp Prism, very nicely done. That is a lot of Corruptors right now.
Yeah, but there's not a ton of,
Not enough Void Rays. He's going to have to rely on Storm here, actually.
Yeah. It's not a ton of, air-to-ground damage in this army, though, so he needs to be careful of how he fights this with the Corruptors, especially with Storm here. And this is a good position for HerO. I like this a lot.
Yeah, he's trying to force the fight and trying to bait the Zerg units into the Storm. No Storm's going off just yet, though. He does have it, right? I mean,
that's what I was about to ask you, because you've got the control of the Zerg PC. This ends up being a...
No, he doesn't have it.
Okay, so this is just a bluff. Either that or he forgot that he didn't research it, because he's still not researching it. Okay, well, this is going to cost him... I think Curious is starting to be like, what are you do you have it? Like,
there we go. He has 11 High Templar, and he's only now getting Storm.
I think it might have even been worth it maybe to add an Archon or 2 with some of those High Templar to help fight that at that moment when he realized he didn't have it, because that was kind of expensive what we just saw there. He lost a lot of Void Rays, which is something he desperately needs if he wants to fight the Corruptors directly. When he gets the Anion Pulse Crystals upgrade, he can lock lasers with the Corruptor because they end up having the same range with that upgrade. And if you can link the lasers on a Corruptor, your Phoenixes stack better than the Corruptors do, and you can take them off one by one every time you link. So we'll see that happen a little bit here, but still, obviously, ideally, Void Rays are what you want if you're going to fight Corruptors straight up in the air.
Yeah, only 3 Phoenixes right now. He was making Void Rays before, but he has stopped at 6.
Yeah.
He's making a lot more High Templar. That Storm is about to finish. He's making some Archons now, even.
It's going to be very difficult to finish this game. Don't forget. Actually, can you check the warp gate count? I want to know how many warp gates he has. He's got to have like 15, right? If you just press that T key, I think they'll show up. 19 warp gates on the map.
Wow. That is a ton of warp gates, man.
And the bank is getting bigger and bigger as he has 5 bases. He's not really trading too many units, so he's not depleting that mineral bank. The gas bank is more important.
Being very patient here, in fact. Not engaging, just waiting. He gets a pull onto one of the Void Rays. He's going to get 2 more here.
Really carefully done, avoiding the storms, avoiding those feedbacks. Curious is getting some expensive units here. Eating a few storms, but look, gets a Colossus. Could grab an Archon, too. I don't know if he has the energy anymore. He only has 3 Vipers. And there's that huge 13 Zealot Warpin.
Pulls one of the High Templar. That's pretty funny.
Anything you can get that's expensive. Basically, anything that's not a Zealot, a Stalker, or a Sentry is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Sentry's like... He would like to avoid killing those, actually, because they're not going to be too useful. He actually wants
you want to keep those in the Protoss army. Some Dark Templar here just hanging out, smoking a cigarette. They're going to back off. Not doing much.
Yeah, those Dark Templar have been trying to quit, man.
Yeah.
They got
you got to hand it to them. They're trying, but they got to try a bit harder. Okay, finally they're fighting now.
Yeah.
I think he could take out that base if he just right-clicks it once.
Yeah, he kills all the larvae there with all those storms. And he's going to get this. Those spores are really nearby, but not quite nearby enough to help out here.
Is that a Nexus? That's a Nexus coming down here on the right side for HerO.
He's trying to set up like a forward position here.
It's pretty nice. He's got 5 bases to the 4 of Curious. Curious has had a hard time expanding, in fact. He tried to take this mid base, but he never mined from it.
Yeah, and the thing is, as a Zerg who's going Swarm Host, the lack of money, the lack of income isn't as big of a deal because, well, you have Swarm Hosts that make free units. The bank that he has can allow him to remax a Mulus if he loses a big fight, but that's the only bank he's got. Keep that in mind. It's not a huge bank. I mean, we're not talking an hour-long game bank just yet. But I like this choice by HerO. The gold base is going to give him a ton more minerals with the 19 warp gates that he has to continue making units. He's trying to get on top of these Swarmos, and he starts to, actually.
Oh, here are the storms. He's storming all of the Swarmos. He has to get out of there. He unburrows finally after he puts down a lot more locusts here.
He didn't really kill many of them, though. He damaged all those. Look at the screen. You guys can see a lot of those are in the red, a lot of those in the orange, but that was expensive for HerO. A lot of his bank gets depleted here, which he immediately starts 7 Tempests with.
Wow,
and,
okay.
That's an expensive choice.
Yeah, I don't know about that even.
Because look at the comp he's up against. How many Void Rays does he have on the map? 0.
0.
He has 0 Void Rays. There are on the map, how many Corruptors now? 22 with 7 Vipers.
The composition of the Zerg that he's going up against does not really lend itself to making 7 Tempests right now.
He has a mothership. Where is that? I don't know even that. We haven't seen that really get involved either. That's pretty expensive, but I don't know where that actually is.
How does he even have 7 Stargates at this point in time? Like, we never even see that.
He had a ton of bank because he had 5 bases for so long. But you know, I think this is a really great way for him to utilize his warp gates, is to just try to avoid the army and do big Zealot Warpins with his mineral bank.
Yeah, if you've got 19 warp gates, 3 of those spine crawlers is not enough. He's got a ton in the main base. That's one thing he's got going for him, but nothing there at that base on the right.
We just watched the Zealot UMS map from StarCraft 1, Zealot defense. sunken defense, level 1 Zealots with charge. That Infestor narrowly escapes. Well, he's going to have a ton of Tempests, and in late game, EBZ, if you have like 20 Tempests, you end up pretty much winning the game. These Stalkers are going down for no reason.
Yeah, no reason to trade against Locust. Look at all of these Spore Crawlers that are coming down here. He's making a wall. And
this is Curious, his late game's EVP.
Yeah, he loves to do this. He loves to just stay as late as possible. He's only got 42 drones, and he's not even mining from that middle base. I think he's got to get that mining right now because that's pretty much his only new base here.
He's about to have 30 Spore Crawlers on the map.
What?
That's a lot.
You what, mate? That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty nuts. That Stalker's having none of those changelings.
Here we go. Here's that Protoss fleet. He's got 11 Tempests. Now 15 In fact, he's really cut down on the Colossi, only making 2.
This is going to be a lot about the abducts that we see here. Probes are able to sneak over to this base.
Nicely done. Curious has had no success shutting down that base at all. He has to keep his swarm host near his mining base, because if he doesn't, it's just going to go down again, and then he has no mining. So he really just needs to protect the middle of the map right now. He may want to expand to the top left of that middle base next. Yeah, I think that's like his only option.
It's so funny to watch just a small group of stalkers like this move across the map, because the thing is, obviously he doesn't want to lose them ideally, but the stalkers in late game PvZ have very little utility anyways. Trying to get something done with them before he replaces them with better, more expensive units. These 3 Phoenixes, you might want to consider doing that with them too. I guess they're maybe there to try to pick up infestors, for example, or help maybe, like, I don't know. I mean, he's even killing up his own Colossi at this point to get oracles for vision. He's getting shield upgrades for his air. He already has 3-1, and I think he just might have gotten +2 armor for his Void Rays now. Curious has 3-2 for his air, so the upgrades are kind of finishing up here nicely. And, okay, so yeah, 3-2 for Curious, and 3-1 actually for HerO, so he doesn't have that level 2 armor just yet.
That's pretty important, in fact. Once you get this many air units in the late game, that's pretty much all you're going to get, especially when you're maxed out.
Well, when you're talking about an composition that's almost purely air, a few probes going down here, meanwhile, actually more than a few. When your comp is almost purely air, okay, now he starts it, it just makes such a big difference. Oopsie daisy.
Okay, at least he gets the Revelation off.
So I think that's absolutely critically going to afford it, and that's going to get multiplied, that effect, that armor, for every single Tempest that he has. He gets more value.
Yeah. HerO now taking another base in the middle of the map, but already those swarm hosts have been rerouted to shut that down. Looks like it's taking a bit of damage right now.
In fact, I think it's probably going to go down. Yep,
there we go.
Without a cancel. That's expensive. This base is actually going to get targeted, it looks like.
One more wave will do it. He's got a small number of swarm hosts over there just to deal with that base. Wonder how HerO's going to approach this. I mean, for Curious, he just needs to land like the money abducts as well as the money fungals a little bit later on the Void Rays. But for HerO, he's really got to split his stuff up. But I want to know, like, how is he going to approach killing Curious right now? Like, what do you hit first? Already Curious has like a giant fortress of about 45 spore crawlers. So you got to take it slow.
This is a game of patience, and he needs to just make sure that he doesn't get too close to the Vipers and start losing his expensive units, because for Curious, obviously he wants to just be patient himself. But the swarm hosts wear down the structures and wear down the ground army. They do the tough work, the grunt work, and then the Vipers are there to pull his expensive units until HerO runs out of money. Now, look at Curious's bank. He has a lot of different transition possibilities. He's got a lot of different options. But he wants to wait until the last possible second to use any of that money. That queen got a bit ahead of herself.
Here's the beginning. Here's where he first starts poking. He's just poking out that static defense, but now he's got to back off. He does not want to group. Here we go. Here's the abduct. He gets that Mothership Core. He tries to recall, but it will go down.
Yep. Almost never going to happen. That's very expensive. Going to lose an Oracle as well. Revolution goes down, though. Going to lose that Observer, and that's kind of annoying, because he has no vision, so he can't use his Tempest. Without vision, the Tempest can't continue to pick away at buildings like that. So it's this back and forth, slow, late game, PvZ sort of comp that HerO's gone with, and I'm a bit surprised that HerO, like, we could tell from the time we saw HerO make a quick fourth and even have that fifth going up at the same time that he wanted to play against Curious like this. But I don't think you want to play against Curious like this if you can help it. This is Curious's arena. This is actually his battleground. This is his home ground. Well, this is where he likes to play.
I feel like this is also HerO's, home ground, his battleground. He loves to play in these late games, as is evidenced by him, accepting the challenge, per se. Coming into this game and just saying, okay, if you want to go late, if you really want to keep that fourth base, I'll just make 2 more bases and let's go. Let's do this. I'm totally fine to do it.
What do you think about motherships? I actually don't. I think they're very expensive, and I think that HerO should not make any more right now. And he's not doing it. He made his mothership core, but he's actually not transforming it. I really like that. because I think that's a huge gas sink for something that is obviously going to get yanked.
It's really
first and
expensive, and it's really easy to just kill, you know, like you're mentioning. Well, here we go. We do get some abducts down, but only able to get... Okay, he's going to get a couple more here. But taking some damage, some of those Vipers going down.
Yeah.
So pretty even trade.
That's expensive. Yeah, Locust over here are going to start doing some serious damage. Are they going to get targeted? Yeah, he targets them a little bit. It's not going to kill that Nexus this wave, I don't think. Down to 600 health.
Next wave, easy.
And this is a big problem for HerO. Like I said, the Locusts do that grunt work on the ground. HerO's in a position to harass this base, but this is not that important anymore. This is an empty base that doesn't even have really any gas left.
Yeah, there's no gas there.
All right, 1 Tempest, 2 Tempest, 3 Tempest.
4, 5 Tempest, 6, 7 Tempest more.
That's what he's going for here. Gets a few of those. They get replaced instantly, but look at the bank of HerO's gas. It's gone. It's totally gone now.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's got such a strong Protoss air army that I'm not sure if Furious can really deal with this. It's really all about those fungals, I think, a little bit later on those Void Rays. Void Rays doing a really nice job right now protecting all those Tempests. He's going to focus down the Hive, and there goes pretty much all your tech. You're going to want to remake that right now.
This is going to be an important moment because not only is he going to lose that Hive, he's going to lose his Spire.
Spire is really important.
And he's going to lose his spawning pool, which means that then he's going to have some trouble remaking a lair. Okay, he restart his Spire instantly. That's smart, so he's going to have that at least. This is the only real damage here he's going to be able to get done, though, is getting that tech. But he has only one base that's really mining gas at this point. One is long-distance mining. Oh, well, he even has another greater Spire. He's totally fine Spire-wise right now.
Still, the fact remains this is a very strong and scary Protoss air army. And unless Furious can deal with it, even if HerO loses all his bases, as long as he's got some buildings and he kills all the Zerg, he should be fine.
High Templar. If he gets some feedbacks, he can actually feedback right now if he was paying attention.
Goes for the Storm. Not really doing too much damage.
That could have been actually really huge.
Yeah.
I think all those Vipers had full energy.
All those Vipers, man.
Now he's like, well, I'm going to do this on purpose. Can't get in there. It's too hard. He's too zoned. He is wearing some of these buildings down.
He's doing a very nice job of it. I mean, Curious still has that mining. That's the thing. Like, he's still got a really nice bank, but he is supply blocked. He's still maxed. And HerO still has got this army. Yeah. Curious has barely done anything to break this down right now.
Yeah, still 20 Tempest left. 10 Void Rays. Only 3 High Templar. And that number is now down to 2.
And it could be 1. Oh, it's so close.
That's really expensive. That's really, really expensive to
replace.
Those
feedbacks and storms are so, so important.
I think he's actually going to lose these.
You got to run those away.
One down.
They're going to go down.
Second one's going to go down for sure. No more High Templar on the map. This Void Ray is taking some damage. Like, he can't afford to make mistakes like this. Is he just rallying his starports to his army?
Yeah.
He's going to lose.
Looks like it. Like, over the Zerg base.
Thought he was going to escape. Nope. You can see HerO's frustration on his face, and now his last mining gas base is about to get killed. Another misrally. He's starting to fall apart.
Yeah, that can't happen.
That cannot happen.
Yeah,
I think that's actually like the simplest, best way to say it. That cannot happen.
Here we go. Going for more abducts.
I think this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, this army is doing a really nice job of it, just being very patient. He knows that he's totally cut off HerO from all mining, and he must know that he barely has any gas. And he's just taking it super slow, 1 unit at a time. He doesn't want to lose his entire army. He knows he doesn't want to go head up, straight up against all those Void Rays, so he's just being very, very slow about it.
Fungal here. You cannot engage that directly, though, even with that Fungal. Ooh.
Yeah, now he engages it directly, and it's not going well.
No, he needs to stay away. I mean, even when the Prismatic Alignment is off, I don't think you want to fight that directly. You want to fight the Tempest one by one.
He's got 38 Corruptors still, and he still has so much gas and minerals. Like,
he only has 2 Vipers. I'm a bit surprised we're not seeing him make it a few more of those. He's making another Spire.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Spire right now. That's the problem. He can't actually make air units. That's pretty big deal.
That is actually a huge deal. Where did he remake that? Can you check? I just saw it, but I wasn't like paying attention on where its location was on the map.
Looking around.
If you just click the production tab where it is, it's like, okay, it's towards the bottom of the map. Pretty well defended.
You guys see those changelings. They're right near the changelings.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, one more yank here would be pretty good. It gets actually several yanks. And good control. He pulls the Vipers back immediately. Notice that, just to make sure they stay alive. A few of these Swarm hosts are, you know, in a bit of a vulnerable spot. He has to move us back. Chain Bungles would be nice here, but just one
Bungle the Fungal. Oh!
He needs a follow-up, though. He doesn't have it.
Yeah. One Fungle's not going to do it. That Spire's getting closer and closer to finishing. That's pretty big. But at the same time, he is going to cut down all the mining of Curious here by taking down that last hatchery.
This is actually great patient play by HerO.
This is such a crazy game right now. It's turning into one of these super
long
ones. Okay, there we
so
go.
Vulnerable.
15 Corruptors get made immediately.
But he's going to lose a Spire right afterwards. Right-click
Yeah.
it. Ooh! Oh, that was so much damage. And these Corruptors are eating a lot. Okay, they do grab a Tempest.
They do have the Revelation on them now. And slowly, Curious is actually losing all of his buildings. Let's see what he's got yet left. He's got 16 Spore Crawlers, 10 Spine Crawlers, a Spawning Pool, and 8 Extractors. That's what he's got right now.
He has 17 drones, but he doesn't have any Mineral Bank anymore to make a ton of structures. He's making a hatch right now. Where is he making that?
Oh, here we go. This might just be the last fight. He tries to engage, but he takes a ton of damage. Curious, he's being patient, but he's not. He's being very hesitating.
He needs to get some of those. He actually is not. It's like Swarmos are not doing anything. They need to burrow. They need to get over there. They need to be killing buildings.
He wants to go for the kill right now. Now that the alignment is coming down here, the corruption goes on every single Protoss unit. This is the last fight. He's got so many Corruptors.
I think this is just too many Corruptors. Yeah, this is just too many Corruptors. Alignment ran out, and that's going to be into the game.
Yep, that should be it.
Yeah, I feel like do not challenge Curious in this game. HerO can make it work. The other HerO, CJ HerO, but this HerO cannot. It's so funny though. Like the two longest games in Pro League are both Curious versus HerO, and they're both different.
That's so strange. Yeah, so
that's it.
HerO hasn't left, but with this many Swarmos left over, as well as all those Corruptors to clear the skies, you're never going to make a single Colossi. Rather, he's even gotten a bunch of Overseers here. We do see one Dark Templar. I guess maybe trying to do something, but it should be pretty easy to stop.
Yeah, I wish we could actually get a shot of where that Dark Templar is. He's not doing any damage I can see on the mini-map, so he's on the Watchtower.
GG.
Well, you get worn down in your gas bank, you lose the game in most cases, right? Against a Zerg who has that much max. He was trying to make sure there was no Spire on the map so that he couldn't make more Corruptors so he could eventually wear down Curious's army.
Yeah, really nice Spire placement. He keeps it hidden until it's actually made, and then he's able to make like 20 extra Corruptors. And that arguably won him the game, because imagine there's 20 less Corruptors in that mix. You know, you've got 27 instead of like 47.
That was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that. I love to see Curious play this game. I think he's one of the best Zergs in the world at it. I feel like the biggest contender in late game ZVP that he had, like for being the best Spore Master, was actually HerO. HerO's no longer playing. He's a Spore Master, man.
Is that what they're called now?
That's what I call him. But HerO was really good at this too. Of course, HerO is retired from competitive StarCraft 2 play, fortunately. But I feel like HerO really handled himself well despite losing those bases. When he was low in resources, he really managed the army he had left quite well. For a moment, I was like, I think he might be able to stick in here a little bit longer. You know, and at first I thought, once I saw that gas bank gone, I was like, well, this game's over. It's going to be a slow, painful death for HerO. But then he really controlled really well. He did better than I thought he would.
Yeah.
But it was still not enough.
Just like you like watching Curious in these games, I love watching HerO. I just love the way he plays. He's so experimental and just very fancy. He always gives fun Protoss games rather than the super aggressive ones or the boring long ones. You know what I mean? He always gives a good show.
Well, we had a very long game there, very slow, drawn-out game. But we're going into Protoss versus Protoss now, Valdez. We could have the exact opposite here. And all it takes now for a victory is for StarTale-yoe to win one more game.
Yeah, they will win with a 3-1. That's going to be the first win of the round 2. So that would be great for them. Just starting things off, even without life, showing that they can win. Of course, MVP, not the strongest of teams, but we're going into an interesting one here. It's YOE versus San. Two very funny